And the second example I'm going to give to you is test software. Unfortunately, I cannot explicitly tell the name of those products because we promised to those companies and we don't mention their name explicitly, right? But I can say they are the most famous and tech software. I guess many of you guys may already use this kind of stuff, right? But many years ago, those software they only provide those desktop version. If you want to get a software and buy them, they are going to mail you CD, right? But today they provide a web application. You need software service and provide those kind of service. You can go there, use your browser to fill your text form, then print it out, right? That's a good thing. And but the problem here is, and because the special feature of the cloud, special feature of the web application, actually, even if those tech software, they are well protected. They encrypted communication between your browser and the cloud. But still, looking at the packaged features, we can figure out a lot of things. Particularly, we can figure out your family income, your adjusted gross income. How could this happen? Actually, it's pretty easy. Because those software, just as I mentioned, it's two-party program. Some part running in the browser, while the other party running in the cloud, right? And during that interaction, and they leak out the branching condition in the program. So what kind of branching condition? Something like this, right? And when you file tax, you have to just make some claims and get some deduction, right? And a standard deduction just like this is if you're a rich guy, your family income about 150K, and if you want to claim child credit, you get nothing, right? And if you're poor guys, your income below 110K, you got everything. If your family income somewhere in between, and you get a partial credit, right? So, what happened here is, and when you enter those data, when you are making this claim and with your browser, and the system will depend on your family income and to send different requests and make a different interaction with the cloud, right? If your income above 150K, it may give you a different form. Below 110K, it give you another form. Unfortunately, the size of those forms are different. So even if they are fully encrypted, right? Looking at the packet size, we can figure out what kind of forms and the browser received. So does this make sense to you guys? So so looking at these things, just look at packet size, so we can figure out if your family income is about 150K, below 110K, or somewhere in between. So this is straightforward. Is that right? And there are a lot of examples. In some cases, and if your income above some threshold, you just continue and jump to another category, right? If you are just below certain threshold, and you need to go to cloud and grab some other information. So we did a simple study, even looking at just a small set of tax deduction claim. I already can narrow down your possible income into a very small range. Just to remember there's 350 different credit deduction which you can take advantage of, right? So essentially when people look at the traffic, encrypted traffic generated from your browser, and your secret are there. They only need to look at the packet size and the sequence. They can figure out, everything. So the third example I'm going to talk about is, just online investment software. And again, these are very famous software. I cannot explicitly say their name because we have this, we made this promise to the company, right? Otherwise, they're going to sue us. But it's a very big software. I myself is using this kind of system. The interesting things here is, if you're using this software, I can figure out which mutual fund you're investing and how did you allocate your fund. And the reason I can do that is because again the software fully protected, and there's encryption. They use HTTPS and between the browser and the cloud, right? But still, I can do that. And the reason I can do that is because if you go to your portfolio, right? And they're going to show you this nice curve, which demonstrates the performance of your fund in the past year, right? But the curve, they got a curve from a public place, which is called Market Watch, right? It is encrypted, but encryption does not change the size of the image. So look at the size of image, we know exactly which fund you are invested and which fund you are looking at, right? And the second thing is a little bit tricky. That is, how can I figure out, just and the way you allocate your fund, right? And the only piece of information we can take advantage of is this pie chart, this nice pie chart, which shows the allocation of your fund, right? But the problem is that this pie chart is of low resolution and this level of resolution, right? And just and there could be a lot of possibility for you allocated, even if I know these three funds are what you are investing, right? So we may end up with just thousands of pie chart with the same packet size, so which we cannot differentiate, right? So what are we going to do? Actually, come up with an idea. Just think about the price of those funds. If we know which fund you're investing, right, the price of those funds actually change with time, right? The second day you look at the market, you know exactly what's the price for those funds. You understand what I'm talking about? So it's different from yesterday, right? So because I already know that these are the three funds you are investing, right? So you're looking at the price the second day, and we see that price change. So assuming you are not going to change your allocation immediately, right? So this allows us to the proportion of your allocation will automatically change because the price change, right? So this allows us to reduce the possible, the possible pie chart from, let's say, the 800 to 80s to reduce one order of magnitude. Keep on doing that for 3 or 4 days. And in many cases, we can precisely figure out how did you allocate your fund, right? And we report this problem to those corporations. I don't know if they fix it, and we are honest researcher. As you can imagine, if we take advantage of these things, right, and follow the investment strategy of those those big mutual fund investor, professional hedge fund investor, we may make ourselves very rich. Just joking. Okay. I already showed you, just web security is a completely different animal, right? You break the program functionality and functional wise, it's just like a conventional desktop application, but the structure is completely different. And just because they are different, they break the program into two parts. New security problem emerge. What I'm going to show you next is, actually the things is messier than you can imagine, right? And the web application actually is more than two-party program. It could be multi-party, just like when you build a desktop program, right? And you don't want to do everything by yourself. You are going to call those API function, right? Printf. Why? Because libc already have a bunch of code there, which you can take advantage of. You don't need to talk to the operating system directly. You can use those API. They are going to help you, right? Does this make sense? And in the cloud, in the web application, in many cases, people also want to build up, just those API functions. But this time, in some cases, API function come from remote. Imagine today you want to build up, just a web store, right? You want to sell something, right? And the good thing is you may not need to take care of everything, such as just the payment checkout, right? You can use the API provided by PayPal, by Google, by Amazon, right? They have this kind of just PayPal, Amazon payment, Google checkout. You can take advantage of those services, right? The only thing you need to do is just include that API in your program and call those API. Then automatically, your customer is going to pay at Google, at Amazon, at PayPal, and the money will be transferred to your account there, right? Isn't that beautiful, right? And also, even more recently, people have come up with this idea. If you build up your own website, right? You don't even need to take care of login, authentication. Just forget about all this stuff. You only need to include, just the API provided by, let's say, just Facebook, Google, right? You can include Facebook's API in your in your program, in your website. So people can log into Facebook, then that Facebook and tell you who they are. You just trust the Facebook and let that guy log into your account, the account on your website, right? So in this case, you can completely forget about those login, those kind of approach, and delegate it to Facebook. Does this make sense to you guys? Okay. So when this happens, as you can imagine, the web application no longer two-party, right? We already have some part running in your browser, some part running in the cloud. But right now, we have the API part actually running in another cloud, another system, right? And running in the place just like Facebook, Google, PayPal, right? So the system becomes very, very messy. So in this case, there are a lot of chance attack can take advantage of it. And so what kind of, just exploit they can do? So how about go to a big store, buy a TV set, and buy whatever you want without pay? Is that a cool thing? And I'm going to show you, this way of computing, if you don't do it right, indeed, and these kind of things can happen.